Okay, in this video, we're going to discuss how to make your resume as engaging as possible once it passes the ATIS and actually gets into the hands of a human. According to Top Resume, 75% of resumes are rejected by the applicant tracking systems. This means that only a quarter actually ever get to be seen by a human. So when it does get through the tracking system and into the hands of a human recruiter, this is really your moment to truly shine and leave a lasting impression. So how do you ensure that your resume stands out from the stack? Fear not, I've got you covered with these tips to create an engaging resume that captivates hiring managers and moves you towards your dream job. So tip 1, tailor your resume to each job. Tailoring your resume to each job isn't just a suggestion, it's an absolute must, I'm afraid. Yes, it takes more work, but it is very necessary. Of course, I've mentioned this a few times already in the course, but it is that much of an important tip. Research from CareerBuilder shows that candidates who customize their resume for specific job descriptions are 50% more likely to receive an interview invitation. You will also know the different types of format that you can use and when from the previous lecture. So this information alongside other elements such as keywords to make your recruiter stay interested until the end is also crucial. Based on research by CareerBuilder, 54% of job applicants do not update their resume to each position. So if you actually do, then you are in the minority and you've got an advantage. So take this easy step and stand out and make sure that you do update yours for the particular job that you're going for. Here's a tip, always keep your resume up to date with any new role change, qualification, or any other relevant information. This will ensure that you always have a resume ready to go should any opportunity come up. But it also leads to less work when you actually do need to apply for that new job. Having a master CV, which we will get onto, and having something that's already up to date really does make this easier when it comes to fine-tuning your particular resume for a particular job, because you've got a master one to draw upon. We will talk a bit more about this later in the course. So tip 2, use action-packed verbs. Let your achievements do the talking with action-packed verbs that command attention. According to research, action-packed verbs boost your chance of being offered an interview by 140%. So make sure that you include them. For example, instead of saying, I managed a team, you could say, led a high-performing team to surpass quarterly targets. Do you see the difference? Obviously, one just sounds a lot better, whereas the other one is a lot more generic and forgetful. Now, of course, you only get so much room on your 2-page resume, so you're going to have to pick and choose when to use these action-packed verbs in your statements. The reason is because they add a little bit more to the word count. So if there's any particular achievements or education or qualifications or anything like that that you really want to stress and highlight, then you can use action-packed verbs to really make them stand out. Whereas you might choose to use more bland language on some of the things that are a little bit less relevant to the role that you're going for example. Make sure that you use some common sense with this. You don't want your CV to sound like a comic book and it's overboard with action-packed verbs, but it is a really good technique that you can use to make certain things stand out really well. Tip 3, speak with confidence in an active voice. Your resume is your chance to showcase your confidence and expertise, so don't hold back. Writing in an active voice not only exudes confidence, but also makes your resume easier to read and digest. For instance, rather than saying responsibilities included overseeing project timelines, say, I oversaw project timelines to ensure timely completion and delivery. This sentence is much more concrete and will give your reader a sense of the capability and confidence that you have. It's always best to say I as well, because you're telling the recruiter what you did, and that's what they want to know. So if you have done teamwork, when we're working, we're always working in teams, and it is very easy to slip into, we did this, we did that, but just remember that the recruiter wants to hear what you did. So do try and focus it on what you did by using the word I. Tip 4, try and embrace white space for readability. In a sea of text, white space is your secret weapon. Not only does it enhance readability, but it also draws the reader in and keeps them engaged. Studies conducted by Nielsen Norman Group have shown that properly utilizing white space can increase comprehension by up to 20%. Remember, in the case of a resume, less is more. Don't take this as an excuse to reduce the font size to really small levels though, so they can't read it. Remember, your recruiter needs to be able to read your resume, and if they are hard of seeing or maybe a bit older, then they might require reading glasses and struggle if the font is too small. Don't make things too difficult for them. So don't make it difficult for them. Do bear in mind that they will be reading many resumes, and if yours is clearly laid out with white space, it's going to give the reader a sense of ease in their sifting process. Okay, so yes, it's not easy knowing what to put, and even more difficult knowing what to leave out to achieve a readable resume. There is a skill to this. You're going to have to write it all down and take some time to choose what to remove and how to reword it and how to reformat it so that you can make it a little bit more legible and make use of some white space. So be aware, it'll take you a few attempts, a few passes at this process, and it will take you longer than the initial writing of the resume itself in a lot of cases. Tip 5 is showcasing your unique skill set. Your unique skills are what set you apart from the competition, so don't be shy about showing them off. Research from LinkedIn has found that candidates who list specific skills on their resume are up to 20 times more likely to be contacted by recruiters. Additionally, 48% of recruiters use skills data to help fill their roles. Tip 6, address potential concerns head on. Anticipate any potential concerns or questions that a hiring manager may have and address them head on in your resume. Whether it's explaining a career gap or showcasing remote working skills, proactive transparency can go a long way to building trust and credibility. Whatever you do, just don't lie. According to Forbes, 70% of workers do lie on their resume, but these lies are often found out during the interview, and you don't want to be put in that situation. Do not risk being in this number of awkward interviews. Tip 7, research the company culture. Make sure you're going for a company with a culture that you really want to work in and you think is a good match for you. And this should help you to mirror the company's culture, showcasing your understanding and alignment with the company culture, which can significantly boost your chances of success. Research by 10 Feet Tall shows that 84% of recruiters believe that culture fit is crucial when evaluating candidates. So mirror the company's values and language in your resume to demonstrate your compatibility and commitment. You should have an understanding of what the company culture is from your research. Now, this is something that I talk a lot about in my interview skills course as well, because it is so important. Finally, tip 8, polish your resume to perfection. Dot your I's and cross your T's and ensure every comma is in its rightful place. A single typo could be the difference between landing an interview and being passed over. You could argue that a typo won't make your resume any less engaging, but why make a mistake if you can avoid it? You just don't know who's going to be reading that resume, and they might have a particular thing about not having a completely polished and perfect grammar. So do try and get your grammar and spelling absolutely spot on. Your recruiter might actually think that if you can't be bothered to check your resume for errors, then you haven't really put all the effort in and you might not be particularly bothered about that particular role. And if you haven't bothered to read your resume for errors, then they can't be bothered to read it either. Attention to detail does speak volumes about your professionalism and dedication. According to a study by Resume Help, 51% of documents have grammatical errors. By checking your resume, you are in the minority and your chances are greatly increased. You can do a quick check fairly easily with browser plugins like Grammarly, or you can paste your text into something like Google Docs or Word, of course, but you can also use ChatGPT to ask to remove any grammar and spelling errors. Just copy your text and paste it into ChatGPT and ask it to look for any spelling errors and grammatical errors, and it should give you a almost perfect output. So that's a quick tip from me. You can use ChatGPT as well. Just make sure that you don't put any personal information into it or sensitive information, because ChatGPT will store that. This brings me to an end of this video. With these tips, you're equipped to create an engaging resume that not only passes ATIS, but also captivates hiring managers once it gets into their hands and moves you forward to success. Use those tips wisely though. You're going to have to think about them, and you are going to have to do a couple of passes with your CV to absolutely get it perfect. But after trying a few times and writing it down a few times and going over it, eventually you'll get the hang of it and you'll be making much more engaging and much more readable CVs. Good luck.